You have spent weeks practicing case interviews and just realized that the McKinsey Personal Experience interview is also critical for getting an offer, and you didn't spend nearly enough time practicing for it. Don't worry, we will teach you everything you need about this part of the McKinsey interview, so you have the best chance of winning an offer. In this video, we will cover what the McKinsey Personal Experience interview is, how it is different from Bain and BCG's behavioral interviews, what interviewers look for in your answers, how to structure stronger answers to McKinsey Personal Experience interview questions, what are the most common McKinsey Personal Experience interview questions. We will also provide info on a new type of McKinsey Personal Experience interview question being piloted in some North American offices. Make sure you watch to the end to get our tips on 2 things that can mess candidates up in McKinsey Personal Experience interview. Hi, I'm Jean with My Consulting Offer. Our company helps people from all types of backgrounds land their dream jobs at top consulting firms. We have helped over 500 clients land their jobs in consulting, and we can help you too. For example, this is how we helped Juan get his internship and full-time offer at McKinsey.
First of all, it's just getting the offer, but the second thing was if you were actually good or cut out to be part of it. Usually a lot of consultants, what they tell you is that these interviews are sort of like a process to eliminate people that are not really suited for the job. What I was scared of is it was, despite me just studying as much as I can, I was not good enough for the job or something.
If you're just joining us today, click and subscribe so you will get new videos on landing your dream consulting job as soon as they drop. The McKinsey Personal Experience interview, also known as the McKinsey PEI, is designed to test for the softer side required for the job. The interviewer wants to understand things like, will you work well with your team even when it's late at night and the pressure is high? Will you represent McKinsey well in front of the client? Will you be able to persuade the client to make significant changes to their business? So, this part of the interview helps the interviewer determine whether the candidate will fit well with the culture and work effectively with the client. The McKinsey Personal Experience interview is notoriously different than other consulting firms' behavioral interviews. It mainly differs in 2 ways. First, it is part of every interview. It will typically take 10 to 15 minutes at the beginning or end of the interview. So make sure you make the best of the time. To do so, prepare clear, concise stories in response to common McKinsey PEI questions in advance. Second, McKinsey prefers to go deep on one behavior question instead of asking several. The interviewer will pick one story from your resume or prompt you to tell a story about a situation and follow up with multiple questions. Say you get asked to tell a story about a time where you managed a team conflict. A McKinsey interviewer will follow up with several questions like, how did you get into the situation in the first place? What was at stake? What was your role? How did you help to resolve the conflict? What would you do differently the next time? Now that we know what a McKinsey Personal Experience interview is, let's try to understand what interviewers look for in your answers. Questions will mainly test for the 3 characteristics that McKinsey looks for in a candidate: inclusive leadership, personal impact, and entrepreneurial drive. If you prepare stories on these 3 topics, you will be ready for the personal experience interview. Let's explore each characteristic to help you prepare an answer for them. First, inclusive leadership. Leadership is essential for success in consulting, since solving any large business problem requires the work of many people, and you will need to be able to work with others effectively. Inclusive leadership requires working effectively with people of different backgrounds than you and leveraging the power of diverse thinking to identify the best solutions. Your interviewer will typically test 3 subtraits when assessing inclusive leadership. First, leading others. Second, teamwork. And third, empathy. You will get questions like, share an example of when you worked effectively with people of different backgrounds. Tell me about a time when you were on a team that had a conflict that was keeping it from achieving its objective. How do you motivate people? Second, your interviewer will test personal impact. For a recommendation to be implemented by a client's organization, you need the buy-in of multiple stakeholders, and that requires strong influencing skills. Because of this, your interviewer wants to understand your ability to make positive impact in your environment. You will get questions like, tell me about the time you had to convince someone to change their mind on something important to them. Tell me about a difficult situation where you had to rely on your communication skills. What do you want to be remembered for, and how are you achieving it? What do you stand for in your community? Third, your interviewer will test for entrepreneurial drive. Entrepreneurial drive in the McKinsey context means your ability to own your work stream with limited guidance and take it to the finish line. Your interviewer will typically test 3 subtraits when assessing entrepreneurial drive. First, goal setting and overcoming obstacles. Second, practical judgment using the 20-80 rule. And third, creativity. You will get questions like, tell me about a time that you dealt with a tough problem. Tell me about a failure. Tell me about an initiative or project you have led in past organizations. Now that we understand what a McKinsey interviewer wants to test in your personal experience interview answers, let's go through a method that will help you structure every strong answer. This will help you to communicate your story clearly and structure your thoughts, so you are able to directly answer the question. You want to use the A-star structure in your stories. A for answer. Start with 1-sentence answer to the interviewer's question. S for situation. Describe the situation. T for tension. What was the conflict? A for action. What did you do to resolve the conflict? R for result. What were the results of your action? E for effect. What did you learn from the situation? The E is in parentheses because it will not be needed in every story. We have a full example of using the A-star structure to answer a consulting interview question in our video. The link is in the description box below. Don't forget to check it out. You also want to remember that this is not a time to be humble. So show yourself in a good light and be proud of what you have achieved. If you prepare stories across each of the 3 characteristics and use the A-star method, you should be in a really good shape. Next, let's go through 11 common McKinsey personal experience interview questions so you know what type of stories you need to prepare. They are: number 1, share an example of when you effectively led people of different backgrounds. Number 2, tell me about a time when you were on a team that had a conflict that was keeping it from achieving its objective. Number 3, how do you motivate people? Number 4, did you ever have a goal that you weren't able to achieve? What did you do? Number 5, tell me about a time that you dealt with a tough problem. Number 6, tell me about a failure. Number 7, tell me about a time you had to convince someone to change their mind on something important to them. Number 8, tell me about a difficult situation where you had to rely on your communication skills. Number 9, what do you want to be remembered for and how are you achieving it? Number 10, why are you interested in management consulting? Number 11, why are you interested in working for McKinsey? Now, here's the scoop on a new type of McKinsey PEI question being piloted in some North American offices. The new type of question will assess embracing change. Here is what McKinsey says about it. An embracing change personal experience interview will replace entrepreneurial drive. You can expect a prompt like the following. Working as a McKinsey professional, you will at times face major changes and need to make choices based on new circumstances. Go back to when you experienced a major change and dealing with it represented a challenge for you. In order to help clients through big changes facing their organization, McKinsey consultants need to have faced changes themselves and work through it successfully, rather than trying to stick with the old way of doing things. For this question, think of a time when you faced a big change in an organization you worked for or volunteered with. Why was the change challenging for you and the organization? How did you deal with the people side of change, getting your own head around the need for change and the way forward? How did you help others to embrace it? How did you deal with the impact on your organization and processes? What lessons did you learn? By preparing in advance, You can be as prepared on this new McKinsey personal experience interview question as on all the traditional ones. How will you know that you might be given the Embrace Change PEI question in your interview? Your McKinsey recruiter will mention it in your interview invitation. In addition to adding the Embrace Change question, McKinsey will also be adding values and purpose to the PEI interview. To prepare for this, make sure you are familiar with McKinsey's values, which are easy to find on their website. Reflect on how the McKinsey values intersect with your own personal values. Lastly, I want to warn you about 2 situations where candidates can mess up the McKinsey personal experience interview. First, interviewers may ask you to choose a different story to discuss. They usually do this if they are not sure that the story you begin to tell is going to fully answer the question they have given you. They don't want you to waste time telling them about a situation that won't work for their question. Being told to stop telling one story and use a different one can unnerve people. But if you have a few different stories prepared for each trait, you will be fine. So, if this happens to you, take a deep breath and write down your thoughts about another story you prepared that can fit better. The second situation that can mess people up in the McKinsey personal experience interview is not having enough stories prepared. You are asked not to repeat the story, and McKinsey interviewers will compare notes after the day of interviews. This is another reason to have multiple well-thought stories. Do your best to avoid using stories from your first round McKinsey interviews in your second round interviews also. So, there you are. Everything you need to know about the McKinsey personal experience interview. And if you want to shortcut your mastery of the type of consulting interview questions you might encounter in interviews so you can land your dream offer, I will love to help you. My team and I offer an entire curriculum teaching you how to prepare for consulting interviews, including the case and fit interviews and all other consulting interviews. One-on-one coaching with former MBB interviewers who can work on your specific casing strengths and weaknesses so you feel confident when you walk into interviews. We have a proven process. In fact, here are Stephanie and Huang, 2 clients who landed consulting offers after working with MCO.
My biggest challenge was having a non-traditional background. So I'm not having an MBA and not having a lot of the business savvy, I guess, that as soon as I kind of started looking at this process, I felt really out of my element. Having the boot camp and the mini MBA, which again is concerned about my business skills. It was so great to be able to go through that. And the coach, Milan, was spectacular. I can't imagine having gone through this process without having the amount of practice that I had with Milan and with the boot camp and all of those pieces. So I think that was invaluable. I truly felt ushered through and just cared for through this whole process. It was all very clear, and ultimately I just felt so prepared, which is a great way to go into an interview. I will be starting with McKinsey at their Denver, Colorado office. I feel confident that I absolutely made the right decision.
There's a lot of information out there, and what you guys did very well is just you structured it in a way that it's just a step-by-step process, which I really enjoyed. I got a summer internship and also full-time from McKinsey in the Mexico City office. You always have to think about what's the end goal, right? If you're really serious about consulting, and if that's really the career you want to pursue, then definitely this program is worth it, because it's just going to give you the results you actually need.
Want to learn how you can get my consulting offers help to land the consulting job of your dreams? For a limited time, I have asked my consulting offer team of former recruiters from Bain, BCG, and McKinsey to help anyone who is watching this video on YouTube get more interviews and land more offers. When you click the link in the description box below, you will be able to book a free 30-minute strategy session with one of our team members. The best part? Typically, we charge $1,000 for these strategy sessions, but until the slots run out, you can grab one of the $1,000 strategy sessions today, absolutely free. All you need to do is click the link in the description box below and schedule your free strategy session. And check out our other videos that can help you land your dream consulting offer. I will see you in our next video.